As if Super Mario Bros. Isn't good enough, it came on the same game cartridge as Duck Hunt. That's like a double-barreled shotgun blast of rad gaming. And it came with the NES. That's like having your cake and knocking out everybody else around you and eating theirs too. This is one of those games that's been reviewed about 1 million times. It's one of the best-selling video games in history and inspired an entire generation of video gamers. I'm not going to try to outwit somebody who's spent 20 years writing a thesis on why Super Mario Bros. Is the greatest game ever made. The fact is, it's an incredible platformer with solid gameplay, memorable characters, level design, and music. Oh, and it's super cheap to buy these days. But here's the kicker. You know what game I like more? In all seriousness, no, I'm not going to make a Cosmic Carnage reference, although that's an awesome game. The original Mario Brothers. The 1983 arcade game that I had on my Atari 2600. I think it really depends on what you grew up with. I'm part of the generation that was inspired by Atari. So what I'd rather talk about, what's more interesting, is what I witnessed when Super Mario Bros. Was released and changed the world. Because I was there. I feel like one of the fortunate few that got to witness an amazing happening. Very few games really make a difference. I can name a few: Wolfenstein 3D, Final Fantasy VII, Pac-Man. These are games that changed the industry and consumer expectations. Super Mario Bros. Is one of those games. It's probably on par with Pac-Man. So let me take you back to 1985, 1986, back when Beverly Hills Cop was really cool and A View to a Kill was released. I felt cool because my dad took me to a Bond film. This was the height of the video game crash because in general consumers had lost interest in the Atari 2600 and pretty much every other game console at that time. Which was good for me because that meant that Ataris and Atari games were dirt cheap. They were practically being given away. So I was more likely to get some back then. Hooray! There was talk around the grade school of the Nintendo. Sounded neat, but why would I care? I have a stack of Atari 2600 games. At one point in 86 or 87, I even talked my parents into buying me an Atari 7800, the advanced one. It was right about that time I started hanging out with friends who had Nintendos. And then I played Super Mario Bros. And then I realized what a tragic mistake I had made in going for the 7800. Now, I actually love that 7800, I still have it, and that's where I developed my love for games like Xevious Ms. Pac-Man and Robotron 2084, among others like Pitfall 2, Yars' Revenge, Pole Position 2, great games. But Super Mario Bros. Did something that the Atari just did not do, and previous game consoles did not do. It took the player to another fantasy world. It wasn't just about gameplay that repeated and moved faster with each level. It was about really going somewhere on an adventure, with secret levels and the clouds and turtles that you knock their shells off of, and this stuff was just unheard of at that time. Absolutely unheard of. I mean, completely different than games like Pitfall and Yars' Revenge, Pac-Man. This wasn't just an arcade game, this was an adventure, with backgrounds that weren't just black. And just look at these mushrooms and the visuals. We're used to this stuff now, but back then, this was mind-blowing. This game made me want a Nintendo. This game made a lot of people want a Nintendo Entertainment System, which is why this game single-handedly pulled the entire industry out of the gutter and changed the world. And if it wasn't this game that made me want a Nintendo, it was Top Gun. Because I loved the movie, and that game back in the day was awesome. Another reason I was kicking myself for the 7800. I couldn't believe at that time that these games weren't being released on the 7800. Funny in retrospect when you learn the history of these things. But for what it's worth, I've had 3 Nintendo Entertainment Systems break on me, and my old chrome-paneled 7800 still works like a champ. with all this talk about Nintendo, I've got to give something to my trusty 7800, who helped me through that time when I did not have a Nintendo, but everybody else around me did. I think I was the last kid in my school to get one. So, thank you, Mom and Dad, for finally buying me a Nintendo. And buying me some games like Contra, Mega Man, and Bionic Commando, all of which I quickly sold the day the Sega Genesis was released. How quickly things change. Anyway, I'm still horrible at Super Mario Bros. I never was any good at it. We're watching a two-player game. The gameplay that sucks is mine. I'm playing with Derek from CGR Undertow. The gameplay that's really good is his, because he has this game memorized. Super Mario Bros. Is a terrific game and important piece of Nintendo history. The game cartridge for the NES is easy to find these days. It's also available on the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console. This is a brilliant mix of platforming action combined with arcade-style risk versus reward scoring. It's a terrific game and one that I really enjoyed breaking out for this review. The feeling of nostalgia that I get hearing the music and seeing some of the levels just literally brings me back to about 1986. Which does contradict previous statements that I've made where I really haven't left 1983. Well, I can't be consistent all the time, but this game sure is. Super Mario Bros.